Hey, Kennedy here. I usually don't do post-production commentary, but well, these next three dungeons I kind of have to because I was having a mental breakdown, and for the sake of me not getting banned on YouTube, I should probably do it this way. So what happened is that I decided to do my own key, which was a plus 12 mists. I already did it in a previous episode, but I wasn't getting into any groups. I initially wanted to do the other side and Sanguine Depths and all that kind of stuff, but um, it didn't work out. I was just in a little G for like 5 hours. Um, So I said, you know what, let's just do my own key, whatever. What can go wrong? So forming a group took me again. I don't even remember. I think it was like 10 minutes to 15 minutes. It was absolutely horrible because I would get a DPS, and we were like two people in the group. Then I would get another DPS where we were like three people in the group, but then the other DPS would leave because it would take too long to form the group, right? So I would have to replace DPS after DPS. And after I think 15 minutes or something crazy like that, I managed to get um, the last DPS, and then it was the long await for a tank. And I managed to get a Prot Warrior, which did his job. Was more busy talking in the chat than actually playing, but that was the second part. I kind of had to guide this group because the damage was absolutely horrible, like straight up. The knowledge, like CCs were getting breaked. I was sexing stuff, was getting broken immediately, and it's not like we have a lot of AoE. I guess the Archmage Hunter had a lot of AoE with the Wild Rifts, but yeah, it was pretty weird. Most of the dungeon was a pretty big issue in terms of damage, and I would say a lot of people actually not knowing what the hell was going on. Like I saw this, and I see this very often, where people would read on the internet that there are gonna be a lot of easy affixes this week, and what usually happens is that a lot of people that have absolutely no idea how to play M+, they genuinely just join groups and they triple troll, to not say another word. But yeah, it's absolutely mental to see this type of skill level. And the higher you go, with what's insanely crazy is that the higher you go, at around 15, you get a lot of people that generally look like they have no idea. And this is what I was setting myself into while doing these dungeons. And what's really scary is that obviously you're kind of thinking, hey, like I'm getting, like you get into the situation where you don't know if you're actually getting better because your groups are collapsing because of a lot of stupid failures. And the next boss that is coming up is a very good example of what I'm saying. Is that so I'm in a plus 12. Everyone knows this boss, I assume. For illusion spawn, only you have to kill one. That's the most different from the others, right? And I mark once. As you can see, I put a cross there. I decided to mark it 3 or 4 more times because only one of my DPSs actually found out that I'm marking these. Like I'm literally putting raid markers, and I put every possible color in case they were colorblind, because I like, what is there more to do, right? Like I'm not in voice comms with them to tell them which one to focus. But yeah, this is exactly what's going on, and I feel this is because a lot of people just straight up jump steps, right? Like they don't start at a +2 where you clearly need to have an idea at least of what are the boss mechanics. Like it doesn't work like it works in normals where you can just blast 100 to 0 in like 5 seconds, kind of like you're accelerating a car to get past something. So again, they finally realized that I'm marking them, which is crazy to me. But yeah, this boss was Snap's Nightmare, and I think at this point I was actually thinking that we have 12 minutes. My hunter was literally screaming, we should bloodlust. Which, it's mind-blowing to me that we should bloodlust this boss, but apparently people do it. So, we had 12 minutes to do this dungeon, and we're barely killing the second boss, so I was assuming this is gonna go really bad. It didn't, but yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I've been reading on forums that it's hard to pug. But I feel like a lot of people that are complaining about it, that it's hard to pug. It's because I feel like the people that are on those forums complaining 24/7 are people that actually don't want to put in the time to learn the dungeons at least, let alone their class. Their class is like they're trying to get a PhD or something. And I'm not saying this that like I'm playing perfectly myself. I did a lot of mistakes. There's 27 episodes at least of me doing stupid stuff. But yeah, I mean, you get into a situation. Hunters failing to freeze trap, and I've seen it very often, which is pretty sad. So the boss is going pretty well. I think we were hitting 7k damage from what I can see. I think it's 7k or is it 2k? I'm trying to see right now. No, apparently it's 2k only. Okay, never mind. But I get frozen here. My fault. Should have been much further away. Yeah, and it was close. It was close, pretty much. Right now, our hunter, I think right now he started screaming that we should have lost. But again, we were in a very tricky situation because at this next boss, the last one, I decided to skip the prideful because it would take at least like 1 or 2 minutes because people don't use cooldowns on the prideful. They don't use damage cooldown, so it takes a shitload of time. They start using it from what I've seen at around 17s, 18s, and even then, they're kind of reluctant. So we're doing this for the prideful because obviously we don't have time to do the prideful. I mean, at least in my eyes, I think if I had a better DPS team, it would have been much easier. But this boss is an absolute nightmare, at least for healers. The biggest issue really is are those small bugs that they just follow you because they usually target the healer. They don't really care about the DPS that much. At least when I play DPS, I rarely get this mechanic on me, which is weird. Here, I just absolutely trolled. I don't know why I didn't go the opposite way of the blob, but yeah, I just straight up trolled it. I think my team eventually carries me, finally, after after I think I this dungeon I played okay-ish. I didn't really do fatal mistakes, like critical mistakes, up until now at this ending. But again, we were pretty lucky. We managed to get this boss down. I think after this we just go to the right and kill everything. I don't exactly remember. But we somehow managed to time this with 2 minutes left. Thank God, because it was... Whew. The original commentary was me just going absolutely ballistic, and I think even when I was editing it initially, I was like, even I myself cannot stand this. So decided this was probably a better way. So next dungeon, I think I got a 13 Filter of Pain. Yep, so I got a 13 Filter of Pain now, which showed up finally on my screen. Very interesting dungeon on these affixes. So I managed to get a Prod Warrior, Demon Hunter, Boomy, and Retro Paladin. And as you guys know, we start off with a banger. Retro Paladins, they pop everything at the start. They rip the aggro. And yeah, they die usually. So as you can see here, that's what happened. The Paladin ripped the aggro, and I think Demon Hunter... Yeah, actually both of these guys, the melees were absolutely pumping at the start. And what's really messed up is that throughout this whole dungeon, the Paladin did... I think the Paladin had like 5 or 7 deaths straight up. Like, it wasn't even funny. And at one point I was actually getting a bit frustrated, and exactly when we had a small chance of timing it, I messed it up again. So this time the issue was that obviously being a higher key, the room for error is much smaller. So the first boss was fine. I don't remember anything going wrong here. The second one though, it's a pretty interesting... actually before the first boss... Sorry, before the second boss, it becomes a bit interesting, because that's when I kind of realized that this might not be timeable. But the first boss, man, it just went down immediately. Like, not that many things. I usually run out of mana on this boss, but here I was owning it. I was just not having any issues. So yeah, the biggest issue with this dungeon on these houses are some of the trash packs are absolutely mental. Because you need to crowd control them, but obviously having an inspired mob, you cannot control them. And there you go. I'm not really sure how my paladin died here. Like that was, yeah, there you go. So I've done to release, but I'm not really sure exactly how the paladin died there. It's just wheelchair class, I guess. Anyway, so where I was going, a lot of trash packs with a lot of very dangerous mobs and must interrupt abilities throughout this whole dungeon. And I think other than that, like the whole dungeon isn't really that hard. It's just if you have good CC. So this dungeon was probably good to dodge this week, but knowing myself, I just can't stop it. So second boss, I believe one of my DPSs just dies randomly. Yep, again the paladin just doesn't want to move. I mean, obviously you die with what's it called, divine shield and blessing of protection. To me, that's just straight up trolling. But what can you do? At least you have a boomy that pretty much just use that combat res on the Palia almost all dungeon, I think. But what are you supposed to do? I think the biggest issue with this boss is usually the focusing of the banner. Obviously, you can see my Demon Hunter on the left just giving 0 Fs about that. The dodging is also a bit hard for some people here, sadly. But I think after a while, you kind of get the rhythm of this boss. You kind of get its moves and knowing when to dodge. You kind of get a feeling, and also DBM helps you a lot of when that dance is coming up. Yeah, this boss is insanely easy on Fortified. It becomes more of an issue on Tyrannical, but even then, I feel like it doesn't feel that hard to the point where you're like, I actually cannot heal this. So that's good. It's just mostly a mechanics check. So I actually enjoy these bosses. Yeah. So the next part, I believe it's the ghost part, which pretty big problem for a lot of pugs from what I've gathered, especially on inspired. That's a banger. I think everyone knows it when the tank pulls 10 ghosts and you cannot interrupt them. Actually, we're gonna see one because I remember I actually died here. Yep. So we pull 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We pull 6 ghosts. Obviously, I get chained. It gets inspired, and I don't have anything because it was everything at the second boss, right? For my team to not die, and boom. I do use my Ankh because, well, I kind of had to. Actually, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I probably should have used it. Now that I look at it, I was kind of debating if I shouldn't use it, but yeah. We did have a lot of AoE and cleave, which is kind of baffling to me that these didn't die much faster considering the next. I was expecting to have more issues at the next dude, the one with the Soulstorm, but this was the issue. This one's also a very nice pack. I think a lot of healers can relate to me that this is a horrible, horrible pack. You cannot interrupt the volley, and here we just sort of die because of the volley. Like, yep. I could have maybe also shifted. Um, that probably would have been a play, but I also shifted and maybe HP plotted if I would have survived. Other than that, I don't really know what I could have done. I didn't have Spirit Link. I didn't have Healing Tide to him. Yeah, I didn't have anything pretty much. So I was kind of like a sitting duck. We could have maybe hexed it, but a bit more complicated. And yeah, anyway, we managed to kill the pack, and there you go. The paladin just aggroes the ones on the right because he used his judgment on that. And at this point, deep inside, I just knew that we were like everyone was on tilt, right? Like you die to a trash pack. My demon hunter just starts filming this paladin, and I mean, I kind of gave up. Like, I wanted to flame him as well, but then I realized that it wasn't really worth it. I was just wasting my time. Probably had a bad day, so happens to everyone. So second boss. Oh, actually, we just skipped to the third one apparently, but the second boss wasn't really an issue. We actually killed it really fast. So this is where it was timeable, but our Boomkin just straight up died for no reason. Just didn't have the dancing shoes. Obviously, we don't have a combat res. I should have. I'm so dumb to not get combat res on this character. I also do such a stupid mistake right here, and you're gonna see in a second. I don't move when I should move. I'm just healing for and I just forgot the what's it called, the chain that was coming, and I just died like an absolute idiot. So yeah, pretty much this was when I knew the key was over, and yep, there we go. And I just, oh my god, I was not sure if I could have maybe went somewhere else, but that was 100% my fault. I could have absolutely dodged that. Obviously, we come back, we tried the second time. Our Wunkin does again. It probably wasn't correct. Can't remember. I think it was like 2:30, 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. I can't really see the time, but you can see it in the top right if you look. So, and I think maybe he was just wasted or something. We get, we pretty much, yeah, we do this pretty much flawlessly besides that. Besides that serve mistake that I did, everything was like flawless. Last boss, again, everyone played perfect. Like per usual, when the key is not downable anymore, everyone just plays perfect. And what killed me again was the fact that the time we were over was literally the time, almost the time that we had, the time taken that we had from the devs, right? So I think we were over by 1 minute and 41 seconds or 42 seconds or something. Don't even remember. Okay, it was 47 seconds. So we had 19 devs, 1 minute 45 was taken, and we were over by 1 minute 47. So if it was like, if it wouldn't just wipe, this would have been timed, which is really sad. Again, I don't even remember to what this got demoted. So next day comes up, and you know me, I love to torture myself, so I decided to go for Necrotic Wake. My worst dungeon, statistically speaking, my worst dungeon. I always manage to wipe on this and not time it. Doesn't matter the key level, I never time this. So I was very optimistic going into this. I believe I get into a plus 11, which should have easily been timeable, as I think a lot of people know. This is not even a hard dungeon. It's just, I think the first goal of this dungeon is just to not die. It's just to not die. The bosses aren't that hard. I think they did get nerfed a shit ton of times. I remember. I think the second boss was a catastrophe for a lot of people. Straight up. So here's okay. Now okay, I remember this was the first wipe. So for some reason, pull the pack on the left. I don't know if I managed to pull it or, but I mean, even if I did, I don't know how I did it, but to me, it didn't look like I was the one that pulled it. Either way, it doesn't matter. We just wipe immediately because of the, what's it called? Probably because of being greedy and not using Spirit Link. I don't remember using Spirit Link here. No. Oh, I was in capped. Okay, now I remember why we actually died. So yeah, we pretty much just wipe. Typical Necrotic Wake start. Usually, if you, from what I've noticed, usually if you wipe on this pack, someone on your team has no idea what's going on, and it's like a big red flag. I'm saying this from experience. Back when I was a very bad player, I didn't know what the hell was going on in this dungeon, and we would die. I had that trash pack 24/7, and I was playing tank as well. So you go just go figure how bad that was. Anyway, Bloodborne was a joke. This was not the issue. Somehow, Bloodborne was just an absolute joke. We went past it, and I think I would say 50% of the dungeon went smooth, like very very smooth. But then the other 50%, we just shit the bed in such in such an amazing way. It wasn't even funny. I mean, actually, it is kind of fun to still see these things now. But when I was doing this video, it wasn't funny at all. Anyway, here's one of the most beautiful packs in the game. You can just see them. I would say this was very well calculated. We get like 60% or something. But as per usual, bad spatial awareness, and we aggro the guys on the north. Obviously, we die. Typical. And we need to go from the spawn to back here. I actually thought we could maybe kill them and rifle. Spoiler, we can't. Yeah, absolute disaster. Pretty much. The rifle was too much damage. I think maybe if I had like maybe the healing tide as well, maybe we could have But at the same time, I should have just killed it immediately. Like I should have just stopped healing immediately and let it die. Stupid mistake by me. The next guy, the dragon boss, I think it's a morph. I think his name is. I don't know. Its name is, I guess. A better pronoun. Yeah. So a morph. I think we were 3 times or 2 times on this boss. This is one of the hardest pug bosses ever, hands down. This one or the Mana Storms, just because of how many fails. You can see the tank had absolutely no idea. We had a Bloody K. The Bloody K didn't know how to pull the, or maybe I think it's a talent maybe, but no use from it. So we would just wipe, and wipe, and wipe. Absolute bonkers of a boss. I get combat res by the DK. The combat DK just wants to res everyone, and the Boomy just gives 0 fucks and doesn't accept the res. Again, look at the HP at what percentage we die. Yep, there we go. I think the boss has 3.9% HP, so we just wipe here. This at this point. At this point, I should have just left the fucking dungeon. Straight up, I should have just left the dungeon. I don't know why I didn't leave it, but I probably should have. I maybe also should have anked. I probably should have maybe anked and hope I can maybe heal the DK so that he does some damage. Or actually, I should have just done damage. F it. But yeah, pretty much will fail. I think we wipe again. If I remember correctly, we must wipe again. This is typical Pug. I think this dungeon becomes super easy at around 16, and I think in the future I'll actually even show it because yeah, there you go, we'll wipe again. Oh my god, it just tilts me looking at it again. But I thought this dungeon after 15, when you get people that know how to use the weapons and people that know when to, use cooldowns, and they kind of know the mechanics. Like I think above 16, that's when you kind of get people that kind of have at least an idea. But before 16, man, this is absolutely mental. Anyway, I don't remember if I actually kill it now. I genuinely don't remember. We might kill it. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay, we did kill it. I think I just gave up. So we do the third boss, and if I remember correctly, this was an absolute pure shit show. Because the damage was so bad. Like our best DPS was the Fire Mage with 4.3k. The damage was absolutely bonkers, as you can obviously imagine. I put the hook on the Surgeon. I think it hits. No, it doesn't hit. No, 2 hooks, none hit. Or Bumpkin, I have no idea what he's doing. He's just dying. Okay, he finally runs away. So now the next hook should be on the scene. I think, yeah. I put the hook on the scene, obviously because it's so far away. It's, spoiler, it's not gonna reach. If I remember correctly. Oh, no, it did reach. Okay. I don't remember. So we did kill it, but it was a pretty big shit show. And as you can imagine, the key is not timed anymore. I think we were over by 6 minutes. 6 seconds was an absolute. It would have been an absolute dream come true. So obviously, you guys know the drill. When the key is not timed anymore, everyone plays amazing. Everyone just plays absolutely on point. No mistakes. Big DPS. Besides my mage, who didn't want to do DPS, but yep, absolute bonkers dungeon. Yeah, this were the 3 dungeons that I kind of gave up on. Like I just didn't want to make them a separate episode. Just kind of dump them in here, but and kind of just casually talk about them. Other than that, maybe I think there's maybe a few more dungeons like these where it's just an absolute collapse. But I hope they're manageable. This one was just an absolute shit show. I mean, there was no saving it, and even this episode, I think it's kind of trollish to make it, but yeah. Disastrous day. I think we didn't time any key that we needed. I'm not even sure exactly what to. Yeah, nothing really to talk more about. And thank you guys for, if you did manage to listen to me rambling for 25 minutes. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.